Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Janice Klein's AOE Marketing Coordinator. I'm here today with Laura Merritt, Account Manager for AOE, and we're going to be talking about PR trends for 2020. What are the challenges and opportunities? Hi, Laura. How are you? Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Janice. Thanks for having me.
Great. So let's start off with what is the relationship between trust and PR? Why is it a bigger challenge today?
Oh boy, well, it feels like PR professionals have been responsible for building and maintaining trust since the beginning of time, doesn't it? As we know, it can take years to build and just minutes to lose it. And once it's lost, it's really difficult to regain. This year, rebuilding trust could be PR's absolute biggest challenge. Many brands lost consumer trust during the pandemic, and trust in industries continues to decline across the board. It's up to PR pros to help their organizations be more transparent and truthful with their audiences if they hope to maintain or regain that trust.
Well, so how does growing influence of social media, how does that play into a part and what platforms should PR pros be on?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. The more obvious ones that they should be on would be LinkedIn and maybe Facebook. On the other hand, it appears that many PR pros are avoiding Twitter, and this could be for a range of reasons. But Twitter is a really great tool for building relationships with journalists, and they're definitely using it. And by connecting with them on Twitter, you can find out what they're looking for and what stories they're working on. By engaging with them not only when you're pitching a story, but also when you don't need or want anything, is also a really important step in building a relationship with them.
Gotcha. So what about artificial intelligence in PR? How is there a role for that?
Yeah, well, we don't generally consider the role AI can and actually should play in PR. In the past, it was mostly limited to gaming and a few other industries. But today we're seeing it creep into PR and marketing. There are so many tools popping up and they're getting smarter when it comes to things like media research, monitoring, and sentiment analysis. While the full-blown adoption of AI is likely a few years away, this is the time to educate ourselves on the potential.
Okay. So let's talk about your branding for your community, building your brand. Why is that so important?
Well, if your organization isn't already paying attention to community, now's the time to start. You should find out where your target audience hangs out on social media and start engaging with them. You can join groups on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can even create your own group on one of these platforms and bring in fans of your brand. Because building a strong community of loyal customers is really powerful. There are many examples of loyal individuals coming to the defense of a brand. Basically, if you build it when you need it, they will come.
Yeah, I agree. So what is ESG? Can you tell me a little bit about that? Why it's trending? What can PR pros and organizations do to support it?
Yeah, absolutely. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And it's basically the evaluation of an organization's social and environmental consciousness. Consumers want to see more of this from brands these days, and that means less talk and more action. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a great example of this shift from people being satisfied simply talking about it to demanding greater change. PR pros and organizations need to not only get on board if they want to be relevant, they also need to do it right and make it a part of their culture. And they need to enact change that will resonate not only with their external audience, but also their internal employees.
Gotcha. So speaking of internal employees, is there a burnout amongst PR professionals? And can we minimize this? How do we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. PR and communication pros historically have topped the list of those who are burned out, and it's only intensified during COVID. This is most likely because we always have to be on and we're out in front of the issues, no matter how big or small. To help minimize the risk to yourself, it's important to be aware first that burnout is very real, and also take breaks and ask for help when you need it. If you're taking care of yourself, you're ensuring a healthier you, and you're performing in a way that benefits not only you, but also your organization, your peers, your customers, and even your family.
Oh, good advice. Well, thank you, Laura, for joining me. This is all I have today. It was very informative. We thank all of you for joining us today and watching this.